Theresa really sat at the dinner table and said she's not telling her kids John's age. And when Leah called her out, she told her to keep it in your head. Now, hold on, because why are you getting defensive if you're not hiding something? And I'm sorry, but since when is being strategic the same as telling the truth? Let's get into it.
Kay Unscripted, no teeth restricted. In this journey, watch our stories unfold.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. This is Kay Unscripted and I am your girl Kay. Listen, Age of Attraction is starting to get real messy now because the families have been met, the questions have been asked, and now people are realizing that these connections might not be as solid as they thought. Now, before we break down Age of Attraction Season 1, Episode 7, make sure to take a moment and like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with a friend who also watches the show. Now let's get into episode 7. We continue with Family and Friends Day. Logan's meeting Vanessa's friend. Now immediately once they sit down together, Vanessa's like, well, you're a Leo, he's a Leo, and child, Logan said, I don't believe in that. We don't believe in that. Don't bring that up. Haley's face said, excuse me. Haley is Vanessa's friend, right? So anyways, Vanessa is talking over Logan. He's trying to get out the story on how they met. And she keeps talking over him to the point where he had to tell her, do you want to tell a story? Because, I mean, you're just over talking me. Let me talk. So she finally shuts up and lets him give the story on how they met. And once he starts explaining what it's like living with her, you could tell he's choosing his words very carefully because we know Miss Thing likes to boss him around. She's like, well, don't say your age yet. And he's like, well, can I just tell the goddamn story, Vanessa? Vanessa, shut up, okay? Put your finger on your lip, please, because you're annoying the hell out of me. So Logan leaves to give her some time with her friend. He says in his confessional that he's constantly being reminded of the age gap between them, and he doesn't like that. And again, I'm so confused because this is literally the premise of the show, dating someone who's either younger or older than you. So why does that bother y'all so much when it's being brought up? Make it make sense. So Haley points out to Vanessa that they're having all of those mini fights, and the way she kind of talks about it, she insinuates that it's Logan's fault and that Logan is the one starting these fights. And Vanessa sitting there agreeing with her friend as if she is not a contributing factor to the issues that they've been having. Now, of course, her friend is going solely based on what Vanessa is sharing with her, but we've seen Vanessa, even in this meetup, be so obnoxious. She's been cutting him off. Many times we've seen that happen, dictating to him what he should or shouldn't say, what he should talk about. And he himself has said that she doesn't speak to him like they're an equal. So while I think his annoyance maybe showed up in that meeting, I also do feel like Vanessa is also a participant in the chaos that they're living in. Okay, so we move on to John and Theresa. John's filling her in on his breakfast date with his sister. He also reveals to Theresa that he did tell his family about the age thing. He said his family needed to know. So he did tell her that he shared with his sister what her age is. Now, she didn't look too happy about it at all because she's worried that they wouldn't accept her knowing that bit of information. She also said that her children would be very cautious, and while they do love her and do want for her to find her person, she couldn't imagine them being against what she wants. And of course, here comes the tears. Because why are you crying? Why are you crying about your adult children? But then again, she did say her family doesn't know what she went to do. So for all they know, she could have just been on a trip. But she knew she was getting into this thing where she would potentially date a guy who's younger than her. So please spare me the tears, Theresa. Now, John wants to know if this is worth investing in because he doesn't want to be blindsided. And I said, John, go ahead and pack your bags. Go home, John. Go meet your sister. Go meet your mom because you're about to waste your time. She's saying that she wishes this wasn't so complicated. And he's like, what do you mean complicated? Because you're the one who's stressing about it and it's starting to stress me out and my homegirls. That's what John said. John, I said, pack your bags and go home. Phifer is meeting Derrick's cousin. He also said that this is his best friend. They talk all the time and she's been there for him at his lowest. So once they meet up, they talk about future plans, location, and that sort of stuff. Phifer does mention that she would be moving to Texas with him because apparently her work contract is about to end and she has experience in moving before. So she's good. She's up for it. There wasn't too much happening in this conversation, except the cousin being flabbergasted when she found out Phifer's age. We move on to Chris and Leah, who talk, and he lets her know that she's overbearing and it's upsetting me, him, and his homegirls. All the homegirls are upset because Leah is overbearing. But of course, Leah, in my opinion, Leah never listens to understand. She listens to respond because you could just see it all over her face when he says something. Instead of taking it in and processing it, she already has a response that she's already trying to respond to him, to tell him what she's thinking. And in fact, she too has an issue with cutting him off every time he tries to communicate with her. So she did cut him off and she's saying, I see this as a we situation, but she feels like he's always thinking of himself. She says that because of her job as a flight attendant, she's alone a lot and she's fine with it. But I don't think Leah is being honest because first of all, as a flight attendant, you're never on a flight alone. There are more than one of you. So that I don't get. Do you not speak to or hang out or interact in any way with your coworkers? That's one. And second of all, I think Leah is lonely. And that is why she is coming off extremely clingy and needy. This is very problematic, okay? There's a huge difference between someone being alone and someone being lonely. I have been alone for most of my life and I loved my space. But now that I do have a husband, I see him every day. We still do have our alone times together. So I think that's something Leah needs to look into. But they both ultimately decide that they're going to give it their all and not give up. But Chris, let me tell you something. If you're going to stick around and continue to try to make this work, then quit whining and crying about every little thing. Because it's like you keep saying you're struggling, you're not happy, but you're still deciding to stay in that situation. So stay, take it, and be quiet. Okay? Now, Andrew and Libby are at a park. He said that he's starting to see how concerning it is to integrate a 22-year-old girl into his life. Now, y'all peep that he said girl. Not a 22-year-old woman, but a girl. And I think for me, that's the first time I've heard him refer to her as a girl. But I said, oh, you're only now thinking about it? Only now is it a concern to you? So he's telling her that as they're getting closer to the commitment ceremony, he's more in his head wondering if they align. Now, Libby looked like she didn't like what Andrew was telling her at all. She says that he's adding value to her life and it's not like it's going to add restrictions on what she should do or where she should go, if she should hang out with her friends or not, that sort of thing. He still thinks that he might be holding her back because at his age, he knew he wasn't ready to settle and to commit to a relationship. But now, at present in his life, he's more settled, he's more at home. And he said that has been an issue for him dating younger, Well, Andrew, how about you date in your age bracket? So this will not be an issue. Is that not an option to date in your age bracket? Okay. So let's move on to Logan and Vanessa, who discussed the meetup with her friend. She lets him know that the fights that they've been having made her friend worried. Vanessa feels like this is a battle of the egos, and moving forward, she's going to be picking her battles, and concluded to maybe this is his personality or her personality. But I was like, yeah, but you're all over the place. You're jumping here, you're jumping there, and it's like, what do you want? You need to take a step back, right? This is what he said to her. She said that she's always thinking 10 steps ahead and he's always 10 steps back. And I said, oop, was that a dig? Because to me, it's like I have this all figured out and you don't. I don't know. That's just me. Maybe I'm reading into it wrong. Now, to me, the whole conversation, Logan looked so annoyed. He looked like he didn't want to have that conversation at all. He's probably tired of hearing the same things over and over and over again. Now let's talk about Mother Theresa and John, okay? So her three kids meet John. So it's two boys and a girl. Now they get in, they greet each other, they meet and everything, they sit down. And he's saying how much their mom talks about the children so much and that it's all good stuff. He's so happy to see them and he's so happy that they're here. And he said, I'm sure she is still referring to Mother Teresa, and she's like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not happy. Now them kids are better than me, because I'll be like, well, why am I here? Why am I here? Why did you bring me here? For what? Anyways, Mother Teresa talks about how great things are going with she and John, and how much of a good boy he is because he's picking up after himself. And I said, okay, so that's your baby boy. Oh, all right. She's happy that her little boy is independent. And I said, yikes, John. She only sees you as a child. She sees you as a boy. So anyways, her youngest son asked John how he feels about her having older children. And as he was trying to answer, Theresa rushes to say, when we revealed our truths, he was like, yeah, whatever. I said, what truths? What exactly are you talking about? Now, them kids didn't look too impressed by that response at all. Because, again, what do you mean your truths? Give me more details. I'm gonna need more details, okay? She then talks about how hard it was for her to leave her kids, and then she starts crying. And so her son says, well, she's always taken care of them and neglected herself, so she's free to do something for her. And it's also seemed like they were in support of the relationship. Now, Jordan decides to head back to the apartment to give her some time with her children, but he does say in his confessional that he wished she was more proud and confident talking about their relationship, and he wished that she boasted about their relationship a little bit more. And I guess he's taking some mental notes of that because he feels like if she showed more enthusiasm about their relationship, it would really show the children that she's happy and she's invested in this connection that they're having. So when he leaves, she asks them what they think, and her daughter said that she seems happy. She does tell them that ultimately when she makes that decision as far as committing to that relationship, she has them in mind because they've seen her hurt and destroyed in the past, and she doesn't want for them to feel uncomfortable. She doesn't want to put them through that again. Now, when her daughter asked about John's age, she said, I don't want to talk about that. I want you all to get to know him the way that I did. And I'm just like, girl, why the secrecy? And it's making sense to me that if she felt so secure in this relationship, if she really didn't care about the age gap, she would have stood on that. She would have let them know, hey, this is who I love. This is who I want to be with, period. Okay? So maybe John does have a point there. Now, Phifer and Derrick have a conversation. She's clocking herself, right? She said she has always said to herself that she would never change her life for a man, right? And she's pretty much doing that same thing. She's realizing that the only reason why she's moving is for him, and she wonders if she's betraying herself by giving up everything for a relationship. Now she feels like he needs to put himself in her position because she's the one who's giving up a lot to be in this relationship. Now remember, he said that his life, his children, his business, everything is in Dallas, right? And she can up and leave. We did mention earlier that she also did share that her contract is about to end, so she can uproot to him. He tells her that it's normal for her to have fears. Of course, he knows that he's not the one making those sacrifices, but he doesn't have a magic wand that can just take all of what she's feeling away. He also tells her that change isn't always bad, it's just evolving, and he doesn't want her to be stressing about it. She doesn't have to have it all figured out right now, but I feel like if she's having to make such a decision, there needs to be logical discussion as to what does this look like for me. And I don't feel like Phifer is wrong for thinking those things and exploring those thoughts. Do I feel like Derrick should compromise too? Absolutely. Meet her in the middle. Come up with a plan on how she would feel secure. Not just telling her, well, you're going to be able to do your own things, so have your own friends. Your life is not going to be solely about me. That is not enough. So she then asked him to confirm if he's saying that in order for the relationship to work, she needs to make a decision from a place of peace. And he said, yeah, but she looked flabbergasted. Like she just couldn't believe his response. And I kind of understand why he says that, because if you're going to make the decision, you have to be at peace and know that this is something you really want to do. But at the same time, I feel like Derrick needs to meet her in the middle, you know. Don't just uproot your life for a man if he himself is not willing to compromise in any way to benefit the relationship. So let's get into this dinner because the girls were fighting. I mean, baby mother Theresa and Leah were going at it, okay? So everyone's there. They made it to the dinner. It's the final dinner before the commitment ceremony. So once everyone is seated, they make a little toasty toast. Then here comes Nick and Natalie, and everyone's just going around saying how family and friends they went to them. So we get to Theresa, Mother Theresa, and she's saying how her kids asked all of the hard questions and that John pretty much conquered, right? But she didn't tell her kids his age, and they won't know for a while until she decides to tell them. Hey, and child, everyone was shocked. I was shocked too, because again, why the secrecy? She feels like there would be a lot of judgment, and she's in a really difficult position. Now you could look at John and tell that he's just going along with whatever Theresa says. He just wants to please her. He doesn't look happy at all. Now, while Mother Theresa was talking, Leah's face was as expressive as mine. She was giving all of the looks that I was giving, because she said, well, the whole point of this is to let everyone know the age gap. So Mother Theresa said, they will know. So Leah's like, well, why hide it? She said she's not hiding it, but she's being strategic with the way she tells them. And I'm like, no, mama, you're ashamed that your children and your boyfriend are in the same age group. That is what it is. Furthermore, if you don't want to say what his age is compared to yours, that is hiding. That's simply what it is. So she then tells Leah, this is none of her business. So zip it. So Leah said, well, I have a voice. And she said, well, keep that voice in your head, okay? Leah said, oh, I'm sorry, but it's already said. And I said, drag her, Leah, drag her. Drag her. So Theresa starts clapping her hands and she's like, Don't effing come for me, because I will. And I said, you will what, girl? You will what? I dare you. I dare you. You will what? Yeah, because Leah didn't tell a lie on you. She was right. Like, why would you not want to tell your kids his age? You tried to get him to do the same thing, but he went ahead and told his family. So just be honest here, that you have some shame attached to why you don't want to tell them his age. Okay? Now, quick side note. Y'all, the more I look at Nick Vile, he looks so weird. I don't know if it's because of his ears. His ears look really big. I don't know. It's something about him just looks really off to me. I don't know what it is. But I don't know. Theresa, it's not making sense. It's not adding up. But anyways, we learned that the couples will separate to prepare for the commitment ceremony. And that's going to be in the next episode, where we find out who stays together and who decides to go their separate ways. All right, y'all. So that's it for episode 7. And listen, with this commitment ceremony coming up, I already know that things are about to get even crazier, because some of these couples are not on the same page at all. Now, if you made it this far into the video, make sure you like it, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all in the next one.